right, so first thing we wanted to respond was about the 60 minutes per day language. So we would be prepared to accept this with one more sentence in there. The one more sentence being, during pre-planning, the principal will provide the schedule of supervisory duties to all members of the bargaining unit. You good with that?
Waiting for her to look at me. Yes, the answer is yes.
During
Okay.
pre-plan, read it to me one more time.
During pre-planning, the principal will provide the schedule of supervisory duties to all members of the bargaining unit.
We figured you wanted that anyways.
Yeah, easy.
I mean,
That's easy. And should be, right?
All right, you're good with that as long as we add that in.
Yeah. Okay, now, for the pay for performance, or whatever we want to call it, for the speech language pathologist, 46 certified behavioral analysts, OT, PTs, as well as the MOU concerning that. We don't feel like we can answer that at this time until we really dig more into the supplement, the millage, the supplement portion of the millage. We're still awaiting some numbers. There was a meeting today. But we also do feel like a portion of this could come from that retention bucket for the millage. It seems like that's the kind of thing that was intended for. And Nicole is going to
So
share some more data.
The retention bucket, which I, again, didn't know there was such a thing, but that is our issue. You indicate that we have 10 positions open for speech language pathologists. It's actually 13. But when we put 10 positions in perspective, our average caseload is around 50, which that means it's approximately 500 students that we've had to absorb from within. So we have SLPs going above and beyond, as always, trying to support those 500 students from within. We also, in the next 4 years, we have approximately 28 speech language pathologists who will be retiring, which has a significant impact on our program as a whole. As I am learning from my counterparts, my sister counties, Osceola, Orange, etc., and information coming from other counties from other areas, not Central Florida, this $5,500 ask, if you will, was just to get us in line with our surrounding Central Florida districts. And to look at the supplement to come out of our millage, that's a nice idea. Us taxpayers pay for the millage. And some of you who live from other counties drive over here and benefit from the millage that we pay for. With that being said, the $5,500 is actually a low ask, if you will, as I'm learning more from our other surrounding districts across the state. I'm hopeful in the future, however things turn out, the district will look at speech language pathologists, occupational and physical therapists, and see that our retention is being significantly impacted. We just lost an SLP last week, and we lost another one this week, last week and the week before. And the positions that we have right now, we have a position at Saturn. We have 2 at Imperial Estates. We have 2 at Meadow Lane I, 1 at Westside, 1 at Creo, 1 at Turner, 1 under 1021, which supports our preschools, community preschools daycare. We have 2 now at Sable. We only had 1, but unfortunately we lost 1 last week, so now we have 2 at Sable. We have a full-time position at Gardendale we're unable to fill. And on the horizon in October, there's 2 more that we will be losing, unfortunately. So the issue of retention is huge in the field of speech language pathology and occupational physical therapy, because as therapists, we get to choose where, when, and how we work. So retention is a huge thing for the therapies. So that's kind of the current state of affairs. So there's 13 positions right now that need to be filled, and I unfortunately see a few more on the horizon. In OT, I believe we have 5 positions to fill. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you only have 35 on deck, again, average caseload 50. When you have 5, that's however many students. So just thinking of things data-wise, and how we are being impacted in our profession in the therapies. And services to kiddos are being impacted. High-quality services to our kiddos. So, that's it.
Thank you. You know, last time we met, we talked about maybe looking at that health insurance plan. Did you have a response to that?
Yeah, I tried to make that happen. Again, I told you I was not real, just to be blunt about it, I wasn't real smart on how the legality of all that was. I went and spoke with our benefits people, and they just said what I was looking to do was not legal, and so we can't do it. So what we were not interested in was speaking for, you know, if we were to take, let's say 7.5 million, 7.7, whatever, and I said, okay, 3 million of that we'll put towards salaries, and another 3, you know, wake it up. What I wasn't comfortable doing was having someone not in your bargaining unit be affected by that. Does that make sense? So we're not going to be able to. We were just not going to be able to do it.
Well,
I did try because it was a good idea, and I thought maybe we could figure out, you know, hey, let's get some money to there somehow, but it just couldn't happen.
to be gracious, maybe you're not explaining yourself well here.
Fair enough.
Because-
Fair enough. You're probably
because
right.
I think how you're saying it would mean we're never going to raise premiums again on our teachers, and
No.
that, I don't think that's what you're trying to
No,
say.
I'm sorry if it came across that way. What we were trying to do last time we were here, the thought process, right, was for this year, round numbers, right? So let's say 6 million, round numbers, 3 million of that we're going to take out and leave for everybody else, and 3 million of this is going to go to BFT. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
What I'm saying there? And then we'll figure out the cost of that 3 million to BFT members. I can't do that. I can't separate the two. That's the part that they told me that's not real legal to do.
You would have to increase all employees.
Oh, you're saying because of the separate contracts?
Right.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. Well, I mean, and I go back to, we previously, you might have been here maybe, have asked that
Yes.
if there are gonna be health insurance changes, we negotiate them in, like, way back in like February.
The SIAC, right? That's what that is for?
No,
No?
they make a recommendation, but that's a whole nother issue because they don't get the information that they need in a timely manner
Mhm.
to make the recommendation. And then the consultant always screams that the sky is falling and it doesn't, and then they say it's going, and maybe then it gets, so that's a mess. But what we're saying is to prepare, you know, in time for open enrollment to impact what you guys have for salary. We'd like to do health insurance sooner than,
Okay,
I mean, we think open enrollment's in like 4 weeks, so
sure.
so just keep that in mind.
If we're on health insurance,
January for this next school year is what you, I mean, is that a good date
I
for
mean,
the
we
start?
said February, but yeah, I mean.
I don't know, like, so
Yeah.
the earlier we can do it, the better, is everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And while we're on health insurance, one thing before we can finish, we need to, our contract includes the board's contribution. So if the board's putting in 7 million, that needs to be reflected in the contract. I believe you that you're putting in 7 million, but I think you get what
I
I'm saying.
get it, you just want it in writing, I got it,
Anthony has your glasses, Casey's is about to push to
I got it.
Okay, so then moving on to the last salary proposal that you guys passed. You know, we sat here looking at it every which way possible, to try to make it the most, so to speak. But we landed in a place where it's still not cutting it. It's still not enough to do what we needed to do. We are willing to continue to negotiate, but what we're asking is for you guys to come back with more that we can put into the calculator and shift around and try to come up with something that works. So we're still ready to negotiate, we still want to continue to negotiate, but right now it's not enough.
Do you want me to say?
Yeah.
So, I understand, we hear what you're saying, but 2.25 is the best and final that we can do.
Okay.
Just add something,
Mhm.
because I just want to reiterate, because obviously on page 67 is where the board contribution to our health insurance plan is. And so if the board is putting the 7 million, and I think I mentioned this one of the last sessions, that obviously that entire 7 million is not borne on the backs of this bargaining unit. There are other, and as you said for yourself, there are other bargaining units that bear that cost. But, I mean, that money needs to be reflected here. We need to be able to see how much is reflected here when you're telling us that this is your best and final offer.
Okay.
I mean, those are contingent. And
Okay.
honestly,
I'll get you
we
that.
would ask you to consider moving a little bit, especially if we can't even see what this is.
I'll get you that. I can have that emailed by the end of the day, probably, I would assume.
Well,
I will.
can we?
I'm gonna save you face. I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
trying to be
probably,
mean.
I didn't realize it's 4 o'clock.
Even if it was 9 a.m., I wouldn't say that
No, I have
statement.
faith. I have
All right,
faith.
can we caucus again?
Yeah,
Just maybe 5 minutes?
sure.